Allow me to reintroduce.
Time's been moving slowly, so we already in too deep. Can't get no sleep on each other, heavy teasing all day. And when the sun sets, you asking me to come through, kick it with you. Night turn into morning dew, then you feel it rushing in, lose control. You don't wanna go slow, for sure. We both already know your place is my place now. My place is your place, let's face it. Baby, you know all the places. Places. My place is your place. My place. Your place is my place. Just face it. No one knows my places like you do. Your places like I do. My place like you do. Baby, don't stop. Got the key to the lock. We in our own zone. Make yourself at home. Get to know mine on the inside. We can meet at yours next time. And you feel it rushing in, lose control. You don't wanna go slow, for sure. We both already know your place is my place now. My place is your place, let's face it. Baby, you know all the places. Places. My place is your place. Your place is my place. Just face it. No one knows my places like you do. Your places like I do. My place like you do.
Hello. It still works. What's going on, people? What's good? What's good? What's good? I'm back again. We're going to hit this topic one more again. Salute to the people in the chat room. Salute to the people watching me. Let me see if I remember which one it was. There we go. Salute to Handlin Jones, Ricky, Walt, Diddy. What's goody? We got Rainin. What's up, Rainin? Business Talk with K in the building. What's up? TK, salute from the Dallas game. Looks like they're going to take it away from the Eagles. Is in his studio for this. We are back in the studio. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We are back in the studio. Salute to the Big P. Salute to Big P. Let's see. It looks like we're having some... OBS is telling me there's some issues. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and go through with it. I don't know what the issue is, but we're going to go ahead anyway. So let me go ahead and kill this music. So I'm just going to ignore whatever issues OBS is telling me. Hopefully it goes through smoothly with the stream. So yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I covered um the Homeland Security reporting from BX Bullet, and I also covered the grant from Arizona State University. Now, what's going on, Tech Feeney? So now, what I'm going to show you tonight is the video presentation that shows you in detail how this tool and how this plan is put together to divert views from Manosphere creators and how the data is tracked and analyzed. So, if there's any issues with the streaming quality or if the stream is slow, please let me know. It has been a while since I've come on and used the OBS. So, if there's any issues, just go ahead and let me know so I can be aware of that on the replay. We're going to tap back in after the game if you're still live. I might. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to play the video. I'm going to let them rock out and I'm going to interrupt. But this is a video from YouTube, so I don't want to get copyright claimed. But I had to download the video because the team behind the grant proposal took down one of the PDFs. So I don't have access to the PDF, so I can't actually watch it. But I can't read the PDF.
The misogyny to violent extremism pipeline, in combination with dangerous algorithms, have led to an alarming increase in targeted violence and self-harm. Incel ideology, which stands for involuntary celibate, is a mentality focused on sexist beliefs, self-deprecation, and at its worst, encourages violence. Today, social media platforms have two choices when it comes to dealing with malicious content: remove or keep. We are proposing a third choice that addresses the threat while safeguarding free speech.
So if you pay attention to what's being said here, this proposal is not excluding the manosphere from the incel community. It is batching them all together in one community. So that's the important thing you have to pay attention to when we're talking about these things going forward, that there is no separation from what people consider to be incels and what people consider to be the manosphere or the subsections of what the manosphere is. Everything is the manosphere and then incels. And the incels are being lumped in with the manosphere.
Diverting hate, we provide alternative paths to hateful rabbit holes. Rather than simply deleting the content and...
Okay, now this is a tool. Now this is why I was trying to explain to people. This is a tool that is actively being used at this moment on Twitter. I have used Twitter and seen this exact thing happen where they divert you with suggested users that go against what the user is saying. I have seen this tool in action this week, actually. So this is a tool that is actively being used right now on Twitter. And this is a tool that there's different variations of this tool on YouTube, on Reddit, on Facebook, on Instagram. I have a report of how the tool is used on Reddit and covering the manosphere community and Reddit. We'll do that in another video, but let's go ahead.
Fueling the fury of bad actors, we choose to present the option to view the content or to explore healthier options. We do this through thoughtful user design. Beyond this,
so this telling you, hey, look at this, but check this out instead. Taking the viewers, taking the eyes off the creator and sending them somewhere else, diverting their attention.
Experience within a social platform like Twitter, we have also built a resource hub, divertinghate.org. We utilize effective digital marketing to intersect hateful narratives and provide outlets and tools to build resiliency. Our original database and network analysis allow us to effectively meet our audience where they are by using identified key terms.
Okay, so let's pause right here. So here we go into the key terms, the keywords they use to analyze the audience, which means to monitor, maintain, categorize, those type of things, okay? So if you look here, let me see if I can zoom in. no, can't zoom in. Okay, so you see here you have the usernames. Now on this side they have the usernames, and I can't tell what these numbers are, but they have the username, potential usernames of interest. That means potential targets to put into the grouping, add to the data.
Profiles, locations.
Okay, now this is a snippet from their keyword list. We're gonna come back into it because this is their presentation at the TVP Foundation for grants for high school students and young college students. So this is a definition, and these are the words. The words then have violation scales. The scale at the top is 5, with the lowest being 1. So it's on a scale through 1 through 5, where they rank these keywords, and they have the definitions, and they have links to all the definitions. They're going to go over this in detail later in the presentation.
And languages. Altogether, we've created a one-of-its-kind approach to diverting at-risk men away from hate. When presented with potentially malicious narratives, our tool and initiative drive our audience towards brighter paths. Thank you for joining our presentation on diverting hate.
As such, our target audience is highly...
Okay. So the target for these, so this is what was written in this grant. This is the team behind the grant. There's other presentations here in this video, but this is the team behind the grant. This is what is explained. So diverting hate targets adult men ages 18 to 34, which is primarily the Manosphere demographic, who are engaging with incel content in online communities and may be at risk of becoming radicalized by those communities. The behavior we are targeting is expression of misogyny and engagement in misogynistic content. Now, again, they're labeling incel content next to misogynistic content, which also causes pretty much all of the manosphere to be lumped in with the incels. You got to pay attention to the dialect that's being used.
varied across different 6 young men belong to it on our
stable communities.
Okay, so here's part of their research. Now, I don't know. I have to research what Moonshot is. Moonshot is like a tool, but this is primarily from YouTube and Twitter. And they talk about the men's health and men more likely to commit, self-deletion. We're going to fast forward through that because I want to show you pretty much the bulk. Okay. Now, this guy's funny. He does sound like Aaron Fountain. I thought that was the funny part about this one.
Comprehensive database of incel terminology commonly utilized
Yo,
in
what's going on,
space.
Perspective? Shout out to you, Perspective. What's going on? Shout out to Perspective. What's up? So, I muted him. We don't need to really hear him. What I want to show you now is these are the keywords, okay? Let me see if I can view. Let's see, add video, zoom, double. That's not going to work. Video, zoom, original. Okay, so sorry. I can't make the video bigger. I'm going to try one last thing, and then we're just going to move on. I'm going to try one more thing, and then we're just going to move on. Okay. All right, so that's as big as I can get it. So I'm just going to go over the words, the keywords. So in this definition, this is how they rank the keywords. So we identify and rated 80 key terms and phrases. This is language. So remember when at the end of my stream, I said it's important to understand, to control the language and the words that are used as it pertains to the narrative. Because if you don't control the language will be controlled for you. And you'll have no say in it. And that language will be used against you to be tracked, analyzed, and categorized. So here we have the term alpha fucks and beta bucks. So AF and BB. So AF is alpha fucks, BB is beta bucks. And the problem with that is that is verbiage that is used by both red pill, manosphere guys, black pill guys, and incels all together. The problem is that what people consider to be incels and what people consider to be the manosphere, they all use the same language. The language is interchangeable. And that is the problem, right? Because if the language is interchangeable and the content is hard to differentiate between the content and the language, then they all look the same and they sound the same to people on the outside looking in. So, and if it looks the same and it sounds the same from people on the outside looking in, then the data is going to look the same. And they're going to show you how the data looks the same. And if you're a part of these communities, you know the language sounds the same because these are the same words that are used on both sides of the fence. We have alpha male, AWALT, acronym for all women are like that. Based. Based is a very common term used in Red Pill. Beta. Black ops to sell. That's something, that's an incel type thing. Sell terms. Okay, so we're gonna listen to them finish. And this is how they categorize it, from mildly dangerous to very dangerous on a scale of 1 through 5.
In order to create an accurate network analysis of incel-related behavior on platforms like Twitter. The database, a significant portion of which we gleaned from an incel gathering place called Incel Wikipedia, is alphabetically organized and for now stands at 80 words and counting. Some of these terms are as common as incel and others are as nuanced as black pill. Furthermore, to improve the effectiveness and usefulness of the database, we created a violation scale which denotes each term's commonality and judged hatefulness based on extensive research and our collective subject matter expertise. Important to note, however, is that while Diverting Hate's database has many terms, it will continue to evolve, expand, and adapt as we learn more about our target audience. To this end, in the coming months, our aim is to refine our methodology for compiling and ranking terms.
I'm sorry. When I heard this, when I watched this presentation before I even decided to do a video on this, I'm just sitting here like, man, brother, can you just like not talk through your nose? Like take some Sudafed or something. Just don't talk through your nose, bro. It's hard to listen to this.
So that readers and users can better understand and trace our sources. But for now, we are proud to house a robust and original database that we can use to effectively target our audience through the use of network analysis. In addition, the database serves as a unique tool for social media companies to utilize when implementing our tool.
And I tell you right now, this is something that social media companies already use because we know YouTube uses it, and they use it with their Google AdWords platform. They use that to search through thumbnails and titles, and they do their chicanery there. I've already talked about that as well. So we know that YouTube uses it.
In cooperation with the Middlebury Institute.
Now, this is pretty much what their networking looks like, right? Now, I've seen this graphs a couple times going through this research. So pretty much this is how they gather the data. This is what their data points look like when they compile all the data from different areas on social media. He's going to explain that to you.
It's MetaLab. We conducted a network analysis in order to analyze the interactions of Twitter users related to the incel movement subculture. Using our original database, we identified 6 hashtags and 6 terms most commonly utilized by the incel community. From this, we collected tweets within a 2-week time frame that used these phrases. Then, in order to preemptively cross-check our own work and isolate possible sources of error, we collected and analyzed 2 datasets from 2 independent time periods within that 2-week time frame. The first dataset considered 7,078 analyzed tweets. The second, 9,265. Of note, our analysis showed a much more active network during the second dataset time period, with one user having tweeted over 90 times. The second time frame centralized around the hashtags and terms MGTOW, men going their own way.
Boom. Now, again, this is them analyzing the data from the outside looking in. If you're from the inside looking out, yeah, MGTOW guys and incel guys are different. To them, they're all the same, right? So they're compiling data from language that are used from different aspects of the Manosphere and compiling them all together and comparing them all to the same grouping of people. So they're following MGTOW, the hashtag, lumping incels in with MGTOW guys, and vice versa, and alpha male red pill guys, all in the same grouping. And this is where their data is coming from. Again, people from the outside looking in, if the language isn't different enough to differentiate the groups, everyone's going to get lumped in together. What's going on, Tom Tom?
And black pill. While this initial data
Hey, what's going
gathering
on,
and
Work Hard Travel?
analysis
What's
is
up?
promising,
What's up, Kim?
further analysis must be done to determine the incel movement's use of either holidays or events as launching points for their movement. Ultimately, we were able to identify.
And pay attention, they're referring to the incels as domestic terrorists. So they're seeing how they would use holidays or special events to perfect their narrative or to grow their influence or to do whatever events that they plan on doing.
The core network of
BGS is probably saying this is a good thing to my probably, right?
incel users on Twitter, their profiles, key locations, and top used languages. And as we move forward with our project, we will continue to perform these network analysis to better inform our tool and initiative.
Now, this is how it completely, we use our database and network analysis to effectively meet our audience.
The diverting hate tool.
Boom. This is the important part. If you're here for anything, this is the important part, right? So I'm not covering anything important on this side. So this is how this is how the process works. And she's going to show it, and I'm going to leave it up on the screen so you can see. They take the person that's certified toxic boy, they divert it to these people here to explore. They take them to one of the accounts that are linked to the nonprofit organization, and then the nonprofit organization takes them to a place where they can seek help.
Is a Twitter user experience design. In theory, this design would be informed by our robust database and network analysis.
And K, and here's the thing, right? And K, this is from 2021. This is even after the 2 reports from the Secret Service with the Homeland Security on the Manosphere. The hot yoga Tallahassee incident, and then in a subsequent second report from the Secret Service and the Homeland Security. So this is just one presentation. This isn't, and then after this presentation, I'm going to point out a woman who also acknowledges that this is a tool that's used on Facebook as well. So this is just one of many research studies that we haven't even seen, right? Because when they do research like this, they don't want you to see this, right? Because they know it's bad. That's why they hide things when you point it out. That's why they took down their PDF of the presentation, because people were looking into it. So they don't want, they like to do things like this where there's not a lot of eyes. When a lot of eyes get to it, then they can hide things, right? So we don't always get to see these videos. This is videos on a channel with just 174 subscribers. Okay, and I'm gonna go into this program that they're using to get these students to do research for Homeland Security. What's going on, Keep It Techie? This is more evidence that the Manosphere has gone mainstream. Yeah, it's definitely mainstream, right?
Content that lead to misogynistic spheres, where extreme beliefs and violence are encouraged.
On our way.
The tool acts natively within the Twitter platform to hide violative tweets and divert users to other, healthier options, whether it be positive influencers, supportive community groups, or mental health resources. Currently, Twitter identifies and quarantines violative tweets. We feel that this is not the most effective approach to disrupting radicalization. We see an opportunity to provide relevant and healthy alternative paths for resiliency. Now, Courtney will talk about our resource hub, divertinghate.org.
That said, a diversion tool is only as effective as the resources to which it redirects users. Utilizing our database and network analysis, we are able to conduct targeted ad campaigns against our intended audience. These ads divert them away from possibly radicalizing content and towards safer options, including divertinghate.org. This curated resource hub is designed to direct our audience to resilience building pathways including community groups, mental health resources, and engaging content. We vetted a number of existing community groups that are focused on building healthy support systems for men. In addition, we crafted a library.
Yeah, so this is before Elon even bought Twitter. This is even before Elon even bought Twitter. But this is something that's being used right now on Twitter. I've experienced this myself on Twitter. So it's a tool that's being used under Elon's nose. Why he doesn't know about this, I have no idea. But there's a lot of subversion that's still going on X. Let me come to you guys. They probably were studying Kevin. They were studying everybody. However, Kevin was smart. He never mentioned people from the Manosphere came on the panels once he made it. Yeah, that's the only thing, right? He had his own bubble of toxicity, but he kept away from certain aspects of the Manosphere. Some, not all.
Of mental health resources, primarily in the telemental health space, for our users to navigate through and find the option that is best for them. Lastly, we created blog posts to promote via Twitter to send traffic.
Tools would engage with it within the incel community.
Okay, so this is how they use their marketing to target the opposition. Now, I'm gonna fast forward this. There's a tool a couple of years ago that allows you to connect to Twitter's API and pull tweets based on hashtags. You can easily drop it into it, and yeah, you can drop all tweets into a database based on pulling the API. You can get all kind of shit done. Absolutely, yeah. I used a tool like that before too for marketing.
We ran a Twitter ad campaign. We spent ad money mental who are US based, and we were getting a good test was efficient and engaged with our ads.
Budget to pay uses for X to help is not possible.
We landed on framing the problem as a men's mental health issue.
Okay. Anybody can connect to the API. Yeah. So now this is their impression of the problem and solution. Okay. So pay attention to what they consider to be the problem.
Second, deciding how to frame the problem also required us to make another decision. When approaching domestic extremism and radicalization through the lens of mental health, is it better to act through moderation?
And you got to pay attention to the language. Domestic extremism, that is synonymous with terrorism. You got to pay attention to the language and the dialogue that's being used.
Or diversion, or even yet, prevention or prosecution. Here again, we turn to our research and our own shared expertise to land on ethical and empathetic prevention and diversion as the best and most effective approach to sustainably combating domestic extremism and radicalization. Important without believe in the immense potential of diverting hate. Target hate. And would like
pain. And now I'd like to ask the Middlebury students and all our judges to.
So first I want to skip to the beginning so he explains what this program is. I want you to pay attention to this. This is Invent to Prevent. In fall 2021, term I2P was implemented on 20 universities in 17 states as part of a national prevention effort sponsored by the Department of Homeland Security for prevention programs and partnerships. The Department of Homeland Security, and I'm going to drop my cam so I'm going to read so you can see all of these big universities up here, okay? Big universities. Okay, you see all these universities here. So this is the Department of Homeland Security outsourcing their research and surveillance and gathering data through these college programs that they're sponsoring for competitions to receive these grants that they will then implement on the internet and social media, okay? So I want to fast forward through all these people. Now I want to get to her right here, okay?
And John.
Hi, you guys. Thanks so much for that
Okay, now pay attention. Her name is Erin Saltman. She used to work at Facebook.
Presentation, and I will openly admit a little bit of bias because I actually, when I worked at Facebook, helped launch some of their redirect initiatives in about 5 different countries and know Moonshot very well. So you're definitely, what I liked is that you weren't starting.
And there's Howard University has a presentation on here too. I'll play their presentation.
From zero, there definitely has been efforts to redirect, but not that I know of on Twitter so far. I know it exists on Facebook, Instagram, Bing, YouTube, Google, but usually.
So pretty much everywhere but Twitter. Just so that we're clear, this is a person who worked in Facebook who's aware of the tool being used. Like I said before, this is being used on all social media platforms. This is not being used on Twitter. So this is in effect.
Not around misogyny-based violence. So I know of case studies more focused on white supremacy, QAnon, and Islamistic.
Now remember, in the grant application, the report that I read, they added the Manosphere to that list of white supremacy, QAnon, Islamic terrorism. That's why the Homeland Security labels all of them in the same category as terror threats now.
Extremism. With that in mind, knowing this target audience, and again, I know a lot about this community. We work with a lot of researchers. This is not a very cohesive community. It's not. Like joining an official terrorist organization with a brand. It can be quite diverse. And the manosphere, some of the terms you mentioned are kind of maybe less incel or more the broader manosphere. And
listen.
I wanted to know a little bit about still the fact you are targeting a quite vulnerable and often insulated audience. One is, what were the safety procedures or ethical concerns that you raised internally by trying to target what is potentially a dangerous audience to other community groups or to yourselves? And just any of that consideration. And then also, when you think of other platforms, where did you think you might want to spread this sort of initiative beyond Twitter?
What's going on, JT?
So for questions around what we did to protect ourselves and other community groups, if you explore the website, you'll see that we were very intentional in making sure that all of the content was very positive engagement focused. We never tried to label or ostracize anyone that we were targeting. So the idea is that they do not even know necessarily that they're being targeted.
That went over some people's heads.
Beyond Twitter
groups, if you explore the website, you'll see that we were very intentional in making sure that all of the content was very positive engagement focused. We never tried to label or ostracize anyone that we were targeting. So the idea is that they do not even know necessarily that they're being targeted.
How these systems work on social media, you don't even know you're being targeted and followed. You don't know where they're watching, where you're going, tracking on this person goes to that channel and says this. This person goes to that channel and says this. This person uses this keyword at this channel, uses this keyword at that channel. Our data says if they use these keywords, they get put in this category over here. So the next time when they come onto Twitter and they go to look at that creator, we'll then show them our suggested resources, and they'll take them away and look at another creator. And you won't even know it.
Secondly, the groups that we are targeting, it is a preventative strategy. So we are not necessarily attempting to target groups that have already identified and are deep within the manosphere, but rather individuals that are grazing past it on the internet and might get hooked into it and might go down that path. So it's really about the prevention aspect of it. And
pay attention again, the manosphere and incel community is 1-to-1. It's not being separated. Even the person who worked at Facebook understands the need for separation, but they ain't gonna do it. So just pay attention to how the language is being used.
Was there another question on that?
So just what your next platform of choice might be, one or two of those.
Yes, the scalability. So the scalability is what we're actually really excited about for this project, because building these databases, and if we can demonstrate the native experience on Twitter with a partnership with Twitter, of course, we were able to demonstrate some success with the ad campaign, recreating it. But if we can demonstrate that success, then we can take this to really every other platform, and we can also actually build databases for other extremist groups We could build one for the manosphere more broadly. You can really take this and redirect our energies to other hate groups once you already have that framework
Pay attention to the
established.
language. You got to pay attention to the language. Language is
Great,
important. Pay attention to the
Direct
language.
for other extremist groups. We could build one for the manosphere more broadly. You can really take this and redirect our energies to other hate groups.
See, it's very important. You got to pay attention to the language. You got to pay attention to the language that's being used. The language goes over people's heads. It goes right over people's heads, right? You got to pay attention to the language and how it's used and the things that are being said. That is very important, okay? Because this is a conversation that is happening with these people that are on these platforms, that work on these platforms, that consult and research these platforms. This is their language that they're using.
Once you already have that framework established.
Great, thanks so much.
Great, thank you. Clara.
Aaron stole most of my questions, but I thought this was an excellent presentation. I did want to hear around people who have left the incel community. Have you guys thought about voices that can champion some of the reasons why they are no longer part of it? Was that?
Yeah, definitely. In our research section, we looked at different individuals who were part of the incel movement. However, that data is pretty sparse at the moment. There's not a lot of collected data regarding people who have walked away from incel movement specifically. So moving forward, we do want to include particular.
Have two questions.
This guy works at the Department of Homeland Security. Let me see if he has an introduction.
My questions were asked. Thank you.
Very well.
And on a very difficult.
So this guy works at the Department of Homeland Security. Let me move my camera real quick over here so you can see his name. Okay. John Picarelli, DHS, CP3. Let's go ahead.
Topic. So one question I have regards the violation scale in your database, and
this is important. This is an important question.
Just interested if you could expand really quickly on how you came up with that Likert scale of 1 to 5. Like, what is behind what makes a 5 a 5 versus a 1 a 1? And just briefly, I know you could probably riff on that for hours. My other question is thinking ahead. You focused your work on Twitter so far. What other media platforms might you like to explore?
We see those working in tandem. So I'll briefly touch on that violative scale. As you said, we can go on ad nauseum about that.
I'm sure
but
you can.
Our intention when we created this violation scale is that we can utilize this and sustain and scale this across multiple platforms as we build out databases. As Peter had mentioned earlier, and our idea with the violation scale is that in conjunction with our tool and our initiatives, so our resource hub, divertinghate.org, and our tool that we've showed so far on Twitter, we can hand this over to either Twitter or YouTube, just to name a few, and we can provide them an avenue to sort of judge where they may be able to divert easier. So on those tool, so to speak.
Just on that other question that wasn't maybe fully answered on how you assessed what terms were either more threatening or more potent, so that rank.
Please hit the like. I appreciate it. You know that no one is going to bring this content. I appreciate it, Rainin. Salute to Rainin.
System a bit there.
Sure. So we worked in conjunction with one of our centers here at MISS, the Center on Extremism and Counterterrorism, and they have done incredible research on incel ideology and extremism, as well as the research Moonshot has done, defining a lot of those terms. So using this open source vocabulary that's out in the world, we were able to sort through the information and identify where language is most dangerous. So for example, the term black pill is highly associated with suicidal ideation.
And for reference, in Moonshot in Technology, a moonshot is an ambitious, exploratory, and groundbreaking project undertaken without the assurance of near-term profitability or benefit, and perhaps without. So Moonshot is actually a program. But as you can see, the term black-pilled means two different things to two different groups of people. Let's just play back what they have the definition of black-pilled to be.
Has done, defining a lot of those terms. So using this open source vocabulary that's out in the world, we were able to sort through the information and identify where
General
language is
Tito.
most dangerous.
What's
So
going on,
for
Super Slide?
example, the term black pill is highly associated with suicidal ideation. Therefore, we gave it a 5. It's very dangerous.
Now, as you know from watching Manosphere content, the term black pill is kind of tossed around loosely, as you know, right? But that just shows you how the communities are merged together and the language is being ranked and scaled based on its own volatility, based on the research they have on the word, not the context of the word. Okay, so just pay attention to that part.
Whereas things as men go their own way rank a little bit more down towards a 2 and need subjective viewing to.
Now, again, MGTOW, for people that are in MGTOW is completely different, right? They say MGTOW is its own thing and it's separate from the Manosphere. You got MGTOW guys, you got incel guys, you got Manosphere guys, and you got the guys that say they're in the black Manosphere, but most of that's probably still Manosphere anyway. But they got all those things separate, right? They're combining all of these things together into one hodgepodge. I'm going to always point that out so people can understand how this is being done and how these things are being ranked and analyzed and categorized, right? So this is important when you're trying to understand and figure out what the F is going on. This is how it's being done. It doesn't matter what you say. This is what their data is saying to them. It's from the outside looking in, not from the inside looking out.
Really understand how dangerous that content can be. For example, it became really popular after the shooting at a Michigan high school. And we saw that popularity really spark in our network analysis that men go their own way. And that was an instance of, it's good that it was flagged because it shows where.
So, and what we call, in the other side of the internet, that's called emotional language, right? So they have machine learning that measures the emotional volatility of language as events happen, right? So then they measure the uptick of certain words that are used, certain hashtags that are used, and link them to the events that happen, right? So they have events that predate the language, and they have events that are cause for the language to change, right? So this is machine learning measuring the emotional temperature of language and how it's used and what it's used towards. And that's how they even rank. That's how they go into more depth and rank the volatility of these words that are used, right? So as you can see, in casual conversations on the internet, on these platforms with creators, and they're using these words carelessly, not realizing that these words have a different meaning and ranking as far as these social media and these media companies and these researchers and these government agencies are concerned.
Dangerous content is popping up, but in other cases where it's maybe more related to a breakup or something softer in the manosphere, it might not need an actual quarantining and the option to divert away into healthier options.
Now, quarantining is something that is done on Reddit. I have a research paper from 2020, 2021 detailing all of this that is done on Reddit. I don't think I'll touch it tonight. I'll touch it on another night.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin. And Caitlin has the final word. I'd like to acknowledge your thoughtful answers to the judge.
This is.
Turn off your videos and mics as we queue up our final video from the University of South Carolina.
To swallow the red pill.
You pretty much accept this quote-unquote truth. Since I refused to listen to anyone else's point of view, I immediately took theirs because I believed that it was the right one.
It's interesting that you said radicalized. Was that a gateway to the alt-right?
To a degree. Actually, to a very large degree.
When the stars... White supremacist, it's a meme.
A McDonald's mascot.
Missing.
Been turned into memes. But that's not all. In recent years, they've become associated with white supremacist extremist groups. Memetic content provides these groups with the plausible deniability they need to...
Now, I could have swore, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I could have swore I've talked about memes before and how the red pill's a meme. Correct me. I do believe I discussed how the red pill is a meme, and it's used to carry messaging to different people. It's nothing more than a meme, right? Okay. All right. Okay. I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure I talked about that.
Communicate, organize, and recruit online without violating social media terms and conditions.
So pretty much what this presentation is about is how memes are used to induct people into their ideology, right? So this is why they had a huge problem with the Pepe meme, right? They didn't like the Pepe meme. They said the Pepe meme is a way for white supremacist people to communicate. They didn't like the OK symbol. They said OK symbol is a way for white supremacy to communicate to each other. They don't like memes because memes are a way for people to transmit information to each other without directly saying it. This is why they had a huge problem with the QAnon people using the Pepe meme, because the Pepe meme was also a part of the QAnon people as well. And they had the whole thing with the frogs, and that's the researchers for the QAnon. They didn't like any of that. They don't like any of that on social media because they cannot control that. And they have a hard time controlling memes. Memes vary from images to pictures to symbols to GIFs and everything in between. And they can't control that. They have a hard time controlling memes, which is why they do research on how to stop memes in their tracks. Government is taking down the Manosphere because the woman won't have babies to keep their...
Vulnerable populations such as middle school students are susceptible to radicalization through memes like these due to age.
Whole new population that probably wouldn't have been interacting with extremist
to middle schoolers. I don't really like social media, so I stick to the old-fashioned way of email. Same with
my dad.
I'm an background knowledge, developed lesson plan outlining student learning objectives for students to play in
I
order.
want to skip past this. This isn't what I want. This isn't what I want. Not reviewing them. Oof. Homeland Security, 3rd place. So who won 1st place?
Difficult subjects of any additional flourish and just from the place is going to be the team from Howard University for the Peace Coalition.
Now I'm going to play the Howard University presentation real quick.
Congratulations to Howard University. Which brings us therefore to our winner. And our winner is from the Middlebury Institute for International Studies and is going to be the diverting.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Are you telling me the presentation that's on the grant, the presentation that's in the reports, the presentation that I just showed you guys for the past 30 minutes, that's the one that won the Homeland Security grant? What? What do you mean? I told you. It's already in effect. This is from 2021. The grant project ends in 2024. We're in 2023 right now. What I just showed you is already being done on Twitter. And this was before Elon ever stepped in. So if you want me to show you the X's and the O's, I just showed you in the presentation. So you can go back in this stream and look at me playing the presentation so you can see how it's actually being done on the platform. This is what's worth $700,000 of our tax money for bullshit like this. They're not studying. This is an active research project right now. This is actively being done on Twitter. Homeland Security is using the Event to Prevent program to have college students conduct research on their behalf on how they can treat, monitor, and counter extremist and terroristic views on social media as a whole. And they're operating through this program at the Homeland Security. This first place program is the program that has the grant, the $700,000 grant. This exact thing that I showed you is part of what's in that grant from Arizona University. Let's go back to the Howard University so I can show you what they talked about. Look at that. We saw On the Wake Up. You know, black people love that On the Wake Up shit, boy.
Social media content.
No, I'm sorry. That's super Sly shit. I meant Blog Talk. Sorry, Sly. Oh shit! I saw the logo and I thought On the Wake Up. My bad, Sly. On the Wake Up is Sly's platform. So this is about police brutality, blah blah blah, racism, white supremacy. Okay, this is from Howard University. This is the Peace Coalition. Policing efforts and community engagement increase social awareness of domestic terrorism, hatred, bias, cultural literacy, and targeted violence incidents against originating in USO affecting minority communities and color marginalized people, blah, blah, blah. Black people, okay. Well, cops are bad.
Social awareness, great discourse on a range of
how integral role in their perception.
Law enforcement, police brutality. Okay, all right. Police coalition. Okay, yeah. So this is Howard University.
Was Mr. Marvin Heyman, Chief of Staff of the Metropolitan Police Department of D.C.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about police stuff. I don't want to hear about the police. Police gonna do what the police gonna do. I'm just sorry. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. They got over $1 billion from Black Lives Matter, and then they tricked all that fucking money off. So nobody know what they did with the fucking money. So yeah. That was that's how it's done. That's part 2 of how it's done. That's part 2 of how the Manosphere gets its views and its content diverted to other people, to other creators, to other platforms, to other organizations. That's how the data is being gathered. Now, again, I don't have access to this PDF. This PDF here is something that I wish I could get access to, but they hid this information. You can't find it. They took it off the website. You can't get access to it now. All right. But what I want to do is I want to come back to the beginning of the video, and I want you to hear what this program is. The founders ran to the white neighborhood, right? Yeah. The Black Lives Matter founders ran to the white neighborhood. And Roland Martin ass is still defending these people.
CEO of Adventure Partners, and I am going to be your moderator today. On behalf of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships, or as is also known, CP3, on behalf of our colleagues at the McCain Institute for International Leadership, who are our partners in implementing the program, Credence Management Solutions, and my team here at Adventure Partners, we genuinely appreciate you joining us to watch these important and timely student presentations. Here's a little bit of the backstory. For those of you unfamiliar with CP3's Invent to Prevent program, this university and high school initiative empowers tech-savvy students to form themselves into a real-life marketing, social, and digital media agency to develop
It's a nice white man. Let me run that back for it. Did you say nonprofit organization?
And timely student presentations. Here's a little bit of the backstory. For those of you unfamiliar with CP3's Invent to Prevent program, this university and high school initiative empowers tech-savvy students to form themselves into a real-life marketing, social, and digital media agency to develop and implement projects to prevent targeted violence.
Mr. Whiteman, did you say, I can't hear again, did you say magazine?
Students to form themselves into a real-life marketing, social, and digital media agency.
Hold on one second.
To develop and implement projects to prevent targeted violence.
Let me see something real quick. I'm not too sure if it, Mr. Whiteman, did you say a convention?
Students to form themselves into a real-life marketing, social, and digital media agency.
Okay, I thought I heard that's what he said. Media and marketing. Media. Okay? If you do not control media, if you do not have a foothold in media, you cannot control any aspect of the language, any aspect of the dialogue, any aspect of the narrative, and you cannot control the emotional language and the temperature of the conversation because you have no foothold in media, in the media apparatus outside of streams on YouTube. Okay? When certain events happen, you need to have content that lowers the emotional temperature, not heightens the emotional temperature. Okay? You have black guy go do bad thing in location. You don't need people making content supporting black guy doing bad thing in location, because what that does is that raises the emotional temperature of the conversation, and that raises the emotional language of the conversation. So when these people, when they have their research projects and they have all their network analysis set up on their charts and they see, wait a minute, look at these numbers going up related to this event. These are the people that are making these numbers go up with the language that they're using to this related event. Their data will then show them, okay, well, these people, with the language that they're using, they are radicalizing these people to go do these things. So we need to analyze and watch and monitor these people that are saying these things so that they don't radicalize any more of these people to go do bad things. Because when you look at the language, they're not condoning the bad things en masse. Oh, Sharky, man, what's going on, Sharky? Sharky, what's up, man?
To develop and implement projects to prevent targeted violence, terrorism, and hate. And this is important, that the students believe are the most effective in addressing these growing threats on their campuses and in their local communities. DHS believes youth have an important and critical role in making America safer. And Invent to Prevent is a national student platform that allows essential prevention work to happen at the local level. Momentarily, we are going to hear from the top 3 Invent to Prevent university teams that were selected as finalists from a field of 20 different schools that participated this past semester. Joining us today are students and their highly regarded faculty from Howard University in Washington, D.C., Middlebury Institute of International Studies in Monterey, California, and the University of South Carolina in Columbia. It's going to be exciting. I personally can't wait. So let's get started. To kick things off, it is now my pleasure to introduce Samantha Vinograd from the Department of Homeland Security. Samantha is a senior counselor for national security and is also acting assistant secretary for counterterrorism, threat prevention, and law enforcement.
Man, oh man.
Samantha kindly accepted our invitation to provide today's opening remarks. So the floor is yours, Samantha.
Samantha is so kind.
It's such an honor to be with all of you today at the Invent to Prevent.
Now, we're gonna let Samantha do her thing. I am looking for this damn document. I'm gonna let this play. I'm gonna let you hear from Samantha from the DHS. You know, we're gonna hear what Samantha has to say from the DHS.
Final presentation event. Tony, thank you so much for your introduction and for having me. My name is Samantha Vinograd. I am the Acting Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism, Threat Prevention, and Law Enforcement, as well as a Senior Counselor for National Security here at DHS. In my current roles, I am deeply aware of the dynamic and evolving threat of targeted violence and terrorism. We have witnessed a horrific incident targeting a Jewish congregation in Texas. And over the past several weeks, we have also seen numerous historically Black colleges and universities, as well as other entities, subjected to bomb threats and other threatening communications. Just recently, DHS issued a new National Terrorism Advisory System bulletin that read in part, the primary terrorism-related threat to the United States continues to stem from lone offenders or small cells of individuals who are motivated by a range of foreign and or domestic grievances, often cultivated through the consumption of certain online content. The convergence of violent extremist ideologies, false or misleading narratives, and conspiracy theories have and will continue to contribute to a heightened threat of violence in the United States. To address the evolving threat, DHS recognizes the need to take a whole-of-society approach to preventing terrorism and targeted violence.
Pay attention to that part.
The convergence of violent extremist ideologies, false or misleading narratives, and conspiracy theories have and will continue to contribute to a heightened threat of violence in the United States. To address the evolving threat, DHS recognizes the need to take a whole-of-society approach to preventing terrorism and targeted violence anywhere and in any form. As part of this mission, DHS seeks to ensure that the leaders of tomorrow play an active role in designing solutions that build resilient communities today. This is exactly why Invent to Prevent offers such a unique opportunity to empower our nation's youth to play a crucial role in this prevention process.
Oh my God, you gotta pay attention to these keywords. I'm telling you, these keywords will just go over your head.
Any form. As part of this mission, DHS seeks to ensure that the leaders of tomorrow play an active role in designing solutions that build resilient communities today. This is exactly why Invent to Prevent offers such a unique opportunity to empower our nation's youth to play a crucial role in this prevention process.
Crucial role in this process. We need you, the youth, to help us build a better tomorrow for you. Whole of society approach. Keyword. Gotta pay attention to what they're saying. A lot of time we listen to these people, but we're not hearing what they're saying. We're listening to what they're saying. You gotta hear what's being said to you. We need the youth to do our jobs for us. So you can build a better future where we can monitor your asses more. So we need your help to do that because we can't do it by ourselves. We need all of you, all these different smarty party, I got a PhDs. We need you to do our job for us. We need you to do the research and gather the data for us so we can see who we need to monitor now. See what citizen of America we can label a terrorist now. We need you to do that job for us. And in part, you'll get credit. You'll get a nice presentation. You'll get to look very hoity-toity on your resume. And you'll feel empowered because you feel you did a good thing today. You did an amazing thing today. You stopped terrorism from guys who can't get poom poom and people who use the word red pill, and you stopped all the meanies and the baddies on the internet. We need you to make America better. You got to pay attention to what they're saying. It sounds like she's reading a script off a teleprompter or a Word doc. Also, the 90s one, yeah, she got that Felicity haircut going on, right? She got that 90s teenager 90s teenager sitcom haircut going on. I know Samantha. That's probably why you work at the DHS, man. They need some. Let me no. Got to get back to the chopper.
Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
We got to get out of there. We got to get out of there. Get out of there, see over.
Invent to Prevent is a prime example of how the US government can harness the energy, perspective, and voices of our youth to educate and motivate communities, to engage in an honest dialogue, and hopefully to take action to help mitigate and prevent all forms of terrorism.
Now, from that point of saying honest dialogue, have you felt there's ever been an honest dialogue with this subject? There's never been an honest dialogue with this subject. And I'm not even a proponent of the shit. I just know it's never really been an honest dialogue with the shit. But we'll continue.
And targeted violence. Since the program's launched last year, some 77 collegiate programs across 28 states and Washington, D.C. have participated in the program. Beginning in the fall semester of last year, an additional 27 high school pilot programs in 16 states have created teams to participate in Invent to Prevent. All of our finalists today have taken such transformative approaches to sharing information with their peers and communities, bolstering protective factors online, identifying and dispelling dismiss and malinformation, and countering the ways terrorist movements seek to recruit online. I was particularly impressed with the work the teams have accomplished this semester. Howard University's work on social connectedness and digital literacy are so needed right now, not only because of the threats that HBCUs and others have faced. Middlebury Institute's work addressing incels shows us
like, do your work addressing incels? That is the craziest fucking concept that I have ever heard. I am not gassing you guys, man. That is literally some of the craziest shit I have ever heard. Your work in addressing incels is nuts.
That we can get help to those who need it before violence happens. Early stage prevention is critical in this threat environment. And the team from the University of South Carolina uses a novel approach to digital literacy through memes to target the online efforts of violent white supremacists.
And that is taking control of the language and redirecting it. That's very, I don't want to play the meme presentation. It doesn't really have a lot of things that I'm actually trying to show, but they want to be able to redirect the content, redirect the person, take control of the narrative, take control of the language, take control of the memes that is used to spread the ideology, the narrative, and the language, and they want to control all of that. They want to control the flow of communication, of dialogue, of words themselves to where they want them to go. It's all about control.
As we look for ways to harness the power of technology to empower and motivate individuals to prevent targeted violence and terrorism, these teams and all who participate in the fall competition show that through Invent to Prevent, you are finding solutions to support your peers and community while facing a global pandemic and the uncertainty that remote collaboration brings. Looking forward to how we sustain these programs is critical. Through the Invent to Prevent Sustainment Program, DHS encourages a new generation to tackle frontline issues impacting the safety and security of our country.
Oh boy, safety and security, a new generation. This sounds like a Starship Trooper ad.
By providing a safe space for students to think creatively about the challenges.
Which means that we're going to provide you the space where you can come up with all the ideas we need to implement on these social media platforms. We're going to let you kids do your thing. We're going to give you the space. We're going to give you the computers, the Hot Pockets, the Pop-Tarts, all the things, you know, the freaking CBD water. We'll give you guys all that shit. We just need you to come up with as many ideas as possible. So work hard. You're doing it for America.
That we're facing and to do something about them. 2 of last year's spring 2021 Invent to Prevent projects have been accepted into a year-long sustainment program, which
means 2 projects are already being actively used on social media programs.
Designed to help teams critically think through the next steps and challenges associated with scaling and sustaining their projects. Teams currently enrolled in the program include the Citadel and Lewis University, with efforts focused on combating veteran recruitment into violent extremist organizations and combating misinformation, respectively. We hope to see more of you from community
challenges. Each was played. Each team of students will participate.
Okay. So that's the Event to Prevent, right? Remember these names, okay? Event to Prevent. This is a college program, college high school program funded by the Department of Homeland Security, where they have these teams of students, high school, pre-high school, college, when they have these teams of students conducting research and analysis and presenting their projects to this program to gain funding for their projects to be put into use, and the funding is being done by the Department of Homeland Security. If there's anything you take away from this, understand that the Department of Homeland Security is using this program to operate through these students to conduct their research and analytics and gather data to target individuals based on their online communication and the communities that they're a part of. If you acknowledge, if you take anything away from that, you take that away from this, okay? And this is backed up by the grant that I discussed yesterday featuring Arizona State University and the report from BX Bullet. Now, I still have some time. I don't think I can do a whole entire stream or show talking about a PDF. But I think that would be pretty boring. So I'm just going to pull the PDF now. This is the PDF. Okay. This is a PDF from, it's called Mapping the Manosphere. Okay. It's from Naval Postgraduate School, Monterey, California. This is her thesis. This is by Kelly C. Fitzgerald. This was her thesis in December 2020. Mapping the Manosphere, a social network analysis of the manosphere on Reddit. Now, in this thesis report, she actually cites things that she has a hypothesis, but she actually cites things that happen. And the summary of this report, I've read through this report. The Saddle's Military College in Charleston, California. Okay, South Carolina. South Carolina. So the summary of this is to analyze the effects of the manosphere on Reddit, how the manosphere grew through Reddit, how the manosphere shrunk its influence by being quarantined on Reddit, and she has the data to prove it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and read through everything because this part is this is a little boring, but this is just some information. This was done. This is a separate report. Is her thesis. And I'm just showing this to show you how data is actually collected on online social communities, right? This is what these people look at when they're looking at data, when they're gathering data on communities. This is what they're doing. This is what it looks like. Okay. One name that stood out when I read this was Eric J. Dahl, associate professor at the Department of National Security Affairs. Okay. There's a lot of hands in the pot, academically wise and federal government wise. There's a lot of hands in the pot. So just read through the abstract. The Manosphere Network is a dispersed collection of online spaces that proliferate an anti-feminist ideology. So again, this is that feminism and feminist ideology is a good thing, and people who are against feminism is a bad thing. Anti-feminist ideology that in some cases has been associated with violence. This thesis aims to observe the Manosphere Network structure as it exists on Reddit by using a mixed method research design of digital ethnography. I'm pretty much pronouncing that bad. It's late, forgive me. And social network analysis. This research identified a unifying anti-feminist framework and found that informal social divisions within the network faded over time, which indicates that both moderate and extreme manosphere subgroups are now sharing common online spaces, which means that, in layman's terms, that what you would consider to be one aspect of the manosphere and what you would consider to be another adjacent aspect of the manosphere are combined to be the whole of the manosphere as it is researched and analyzed. There is no separation of the manosphere from MGTOW. There's no separation from red pill guys from the manosphere. There's no separation from incels from MGTOW, MGTOW from incels, black manosphere from incels, MGTOW from... There's no separation of any category of what you would consider to be manosphere. It is all combined into one group. And that is what their data says, and that is what the researchers find when they research and do all the kinds of research and data analytics that you can possibly think of. That is what the data is showing people. That is the same thing. There is no definition. So when I say it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what your debate is, doesn't matter how you feel, the data says something entirely different. The data says y'all all the same. Y'all all in the same group. The only time your data is different if you're looking at your YouTube analytics. And that's just a subset of the data. Okay? When people are looking at all the communities, and from Reddit, from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the data says one thing. The manosphere as a whole has different parts, but it's still the same.
Get out of here.
Okay. Within the network faded over time, and which indicates that both moderate and extreme manosphere subgroups are now sharing common online spaces. It also found that platform algorithms helped with network resilience by acting as gatekeepers of information that suggested related content and shielded unrelated content to users that helped to grow the network in size and interconnectivity. We got DJ LaFave in the building. What's going on? So we're gonna go research questions. I want to go to methodology, object of research, manosphere narratives, and ideology. So I want to go here. Okay. That's 21. Okay. So manosphere narratives and ideology. The manosphere is a term applied to a network of online male supremacist groups dispersed across websites, blogs, message boards, microblogs, and less mainstream social media platforms. Let me just change the tune in my ear real quick. Something different. Okay. The online ecosystem creates an echo chamber of anti-feminist sentiment around its users who move frequently between these virtual spaces. It can seem ambiguous because it's not a centrally located place or group, but rather a constellation of points outlined that form and die out rapidly. Some points are high up here one week and they're down here next week. Nonetheless, it is a very real dwelling for some individuals seeking support and refuge from a mainstream society they perceive to be stacked against men. One Manosphere website moderator describes it as an awakening. To the casual observer, the Manosphere may seem like a disjointed collection of blogs and websites, but the Manosphere does not exist online. It exists in the hearts and minds of the next generation of men. The Manosphere is the big bang of chaotic masculine disruption that will eventually bring into existence a new personal world of freedom for those who choose to be free. It's evolving and forming right before our very eyes. You niggas sound crazy. Y'all sound crazy. Now that sounds crazy. I'm pretty sure someone said that shit with their chest, with conviction, and it sounded like they was spitting liquid lava to empower and yes. Yes. Y'all sound crazy when y'all say shit like this, man. And that's what makes it sound like a radical ideology. When you have people to say shit like that. Research has identified 4 domains of Manosphere ideology. Stop the music. This is important, right? Because again, this is a thesis, but this is the research that separate entities are also doing. And this is the language that keeps coming up. Got to pay attention to the language that is coming up, all right? Got to pay attention to the words that are coming up. You got to pay attention to that, okay? Research has identified 4 domains of manosphere ideology: men's rights activists, MRAs, pickup artists, PUAs, men going their own way, MGTOW, and incels. While the 4 categories help bucket different types of anti-feminist thought, these are not fixed points in the network. Individuals often migrate between the groups. Their data is showing them that you can be MGTOW, but you slant left to incels, or you can be a PUA and you slant right to MGTOW. The word. Boy, I wish y'all the best with that shit, man. I wish y'all the best. Let me just wrap this up here. Individuals. Let me see. Okay. Individuals often migrate between groups, and the extreme content means groups get restricted, deplatformed, and reform under new names frequently. As a result, some manosphere communities and ideologies get lost in this organization because they do not fit concisely into these categories or are too small to track. Despite the disorganized, contradictory, and at times confusing nature of the manosphere, it is important that the Homeland Security community not dismiss these groups. They are part of a growing trend in hate-based terrorism motivated by societal upheaval rather than political change. This chapter examines the manosphere domains. Okay, so how much more of this? Okay. This chapter examines the manosphere domains for the purposes of finding where the groups come together as a network and determining if it is a homeland security threat worth further analysis. This thesis first defines the boundaries of each domain by examining existing research, journalistic coverage, as well as websites, blogs, and video content of each domain. Let me pinpoint something right here. Okay, let me just point something out. This thesis first defines the boundaries of each domain by examining existing research. Now, if you look at what's being outlined, journalistic coverage, articles, websites, articles and blogs and videos and articles, video content of each domain. If you're looking at this list, what we would consider most of the manosphere content to be is simply videos and some blogs and a handful of websites and a fraction of journalistic articles, okay? It seems like a waste of time, manpower, worrying about anti-feminists on Reddit. They should focus on Rumble, 4chan, 8chan on the one extreme, and on the other, where the anti-Israel crazies, and that's the problem right there, Sharky. We're going to outline that. That's the problem. Okay? This is the problem right here. You see, extremism can be labeled anything someone chooses it to be. It doesn't matter what you feel is extreme. It only matters what they choose to say is extreme. Okay? In the same breath of you saying the manpower worrying about anti-feminists on Reddit is a waste of money, you're saying to focus on Rumble, 4chan, and 8chan as if they are more extreme. There are extreme views all over the internet. It is not separated by a platform or website or what people would consider to be extreme views. Extreme views are subjective, based loosely on narratives that are being pushed forth by government entities. 3 years ago, you were told that vitamin C was bad and you're a nut job. 3 years later, they're telling you vitamin C is good. 3 years ago, they told you vitamin D and zinc was bad. 3 years later, they're telling you zinc and vitamin D is good. 3 years ago, 5 years ago, they said the political contest was rigged in 2016. Then in 2020, they said you're a conspiracy theorist for claiming that the election was stolen. In 2016, they said the election was stolen. In 2020, they said the election was not stolen. It was the safest and fairest election. The people in 2016 who said that it was safe and it was legit, they were called crazies and nuts and alt-right and white ringers. The people who claimed that it was stolen in 2020, now they're called the alt-right and the wingers and the QAnons and conspiracy theories and the nut jobs and the crazies. And now they're being labeled extremist views and they're being called terrorists. Extremism is used as a blanket term to attack and control people's ability to speak freely on what it is that they decide to speak about. Anyway, moving on. Finally, this thesis provides an analysis of whether this group should be considered a homeland security threat and if researching the network as a whole is worthwhile. Man, listen. Man, y'all better stop playing with this shit, man. Research paper after research paper after research paper is saying the same thing. We are deciding if this is a threat to homeland security. The fucking Manosphere pickup artists are a threat to homeland security. Y'all better stop playing with these people. These academics and government agencies are not playing. They're putting 1 and 1 and 2 and 2 together. This is not a joke. Anti-feminist framework. Let's see. Let's go right. Let's look at this. Men's rights movement. Men going their own way. So, okay. So this is showing you how the communities. This is showing you how the communities merge into each other. We got MRA, we got MGTOW, we got the incels, we got the pickup artists. They all converge in this center point here. Gender binary, I have no idea how she got that. Masculine crisis, red pill movement, root cause, women/feminism. I mean, if you're looking at it, is she wrong? I mean, she's not wrong, right? Gender binary. The acceptance of a gender binary, male and female, and heteronormativity is foundational to anti-feminist. Man, listen, these people crazy. Now y'all see why the whole pronoun stuff is so important to them when they write these papers. This shit is crazy. The acceptance of a gender binary, male and female, and heteronormativity is foundational to the anti-feminist framework.
Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
In the case of some groups, it appears as the reinforcement of natural order arguments or the language of Sandra Beam's sex roles. For others, it may look like a reinforcement of hegemonic masculinity through virgin shaming, homophobic or transphobic rants discussing relationships between men and women as dominant and submissive, ascribing value characteristics to masculinity and femininity, or placing heterosexual sex as the ultimate masculine goal or entitlement. The masculine expressions vary within the manosphere, but they center on a foundational acceptance of a weighted gender binary. Man, y'all better stop playing with these people, man. Man, these people are nuts. Man, these people have the entire playbook at their disposal. I'm reading this paragraph and I am reliving the conversations I have had with people and I have listened to people have that outline all of these exact points. And this is just a thesis. Masculine crisis, the red pill movement. All groups within the manosphere discuss a red pill movement when they became aware that society treats men and boys unfairly. and actually favors women and girls. It is a reference to the 1990 film The Matrix when the main character is given a red blue pill. The blue pill will let him wake up. We already know that. Some also consider it its own domain of the manosphere. Exactly. And the philosophy also features prominently within alt-right groups that is mixing the alt-right with the red pill people. Because the alt-right people and the QAnon people refer to things as red pill drops as well. A documentary sympathetic to the manosphere, The Red Pill, interviews prominent voices. You spoke on this 3-4 years ago. Yes, I did. I absolutely did. I said this 3-4 years ago. What I've said predates this thesis paper that she wrote to the Department of Homeland Security and National Security and the NSA. What I have said has predated a lot of these things, a lot of these papers. I have said this exact thing. It's so crazy. I've literally been reading, going over research of shit that I have casually said in conversations and casually talked about on my stream and on my channel. I've casually pointed these things out to people 4 years ago. That predates all of this shit before even the pandemic happened. I have discussed these things in detail at some points and covered the news and shared the information. It's just nuts seeing people write about this shit with the spin that they're putting on it. It's crazy to me. Interviews prominent voices from across many of the groups within the manosphere, many spin-off pill philosophies, and this goes out to you pill people. People got all the different pill philosophies built on the red pill, but essentially it is a moment when an individual's perception of the world and society shifts drastically. They called you a Mexican male feminist for saying that she bringing up oh shit right there. Yep, I got called a Mexican male feminist for this shit. Women feminism are the root cause. The manosphere domains orient individuals to see women in feminism as the beneficiaries and cause of male oppression. A deep-seated mistrust of women is expressed across manosphere domains that views issues like domestic violence, sexual assault, workplace harassment, and child custody, among others, as being caused by women. I mean, if a woman divorces a man, doesn't she normally get custody of the kid? I don't understand. What's going on, Mojo? What's up? I'm confused. Okay. Men as scapegoats in the narratives are portrayed as victims whose livelihoods is in the hands of women who hold the power to devastate them with false abuse claims. Some conspiratorial viewpoints see feminism as having control of the justice system and other government institutions that ensure women maintain this power. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's kind of what happens. Men's rights movement and men's rights activists. The men's rights movement, MRM, is the more moderate face of the manosphere and is politically minded faction concerned with gender roles and men's oppression in society. Shark Fin Tech. I think it's a question of risk/threat assessment and of degree. IG, it's possible that a radical incel could become a mass water pistoler, but it's doubtful. Most red pill redditors would commit violence. Yes, that is true. Most red pill wouldn't commit violence. They'll just go angrily to sleep and jerk off and watch porn. One of them dudes were on earlier. They haven't learned yet. Big P, what you talking about? Which dude? I don't watch any of these people, so I don't even know who you're talking about. But I'm sure he was. The MRM draws on a legacy dating back to the 1960s and 70s in the United States and is often credited with being the foundation of the manosphere, but it is far from the first feminist backlash. The MRM grew simultaneously with the women's liberation movement of the 1960s, but had an ideological split over men's roles and the oppression of women. The group originally followed second wave feminist thinking with a focus on male consciousness raising around gender roles and the oppression of men as well as women. Eventually, the men's liberation movement split into two groups, with one aligned with the feminist movement and focused on male privilege and men's roles and violence against women, and the other using the language of Sandra Beam's sex roles to argue that men and women were equally oppressed but in different ways. Look at all these OGs. Yeah, all the OGs. The later philosophy broke from its progressive foundation in the 1970s, developing anti-feminist backlash, blah, 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 blah. MRAs today argue that men are the true and ignored victims of prostitution. Okay, hold on. She said some shit. Hold on. Okay. MRA movement and argues that as feminism liberated women, it simultaneously oppressed men because men grew too powerful from the sexual power they hold over what? Oppressed men because women grew too powerful from the sexual power they hold over men. MRM arguments and publications utilize pseudo-academic language that mirrored the language of gender studies as a way to gain legitimacy, but they lack the peer review or acceptance by the larger gender studies academic community to make their claims mainstream. MRAs. Okay. Oh, you know what? Let me pause right here. That's a point. That's an important line right here. MRM arguments and publications utilize pseudo-academic language that mirrored the language of gender studies as a way to gain legitimacy. So copied studies that were already out and try to do chicanery to make it make sense. But they lack the peer review or acceptance by larger gender studies academic community to make their claims mainstream. And that's one of the biggest problems, right, the Manosphere has when it comes to their talking points. They can't make their talking points go mainstream because the talking points are just too fucking absurd. They're just ridiculous. They don't make sense for them to go mainstream. A bulk of Manosphere talking points to the mainstream audience sound absolutely fucking ridiculous. Required military service. I see that. Let's discuss. You see? That's one of the biggest problems with Manosphere is their talking points. They don't make sense when they go to mainstream audiences. MRAs today argue that men are the true ignored victims of what? MRAs today argue that men are the true and ignored victims of prostitution, false rape claims, divorce settlements, required military service. I got some vets in here that can speak on that. Custody settlements, paternity fraud, negative media portrayals, and domestic violence. Well, for one aspect, I think the numbers for men joining military over the women are still doubled, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? I do believe that more men join the military than women, even with women being able to openly sign up to join the Army or the Navy or the Air Force, right? Or the Marines or the National Guard. Shit. I think men still dwarf, the enrollment numbers of men still dwarf that of women. And I believe it to the fact that the Army had to change the PT test requirement. Why don't females have to register for elective services? Riddle me that. That's a great question, LaFave. I would love to know. I want to know what that has to do with the men's rights, because that seems like a as far as like equality goes, that seems like something that falls under equality, right? When you get your state ID, you have to sign out all those documents. Registering for the draft is a requirement for 18-year-old males. Yes, it is. These are basic things that women should have access to that are equally to men. That doesn't sound far-fetched. To me, it doesn't. I know it doesn't to you. And it probably wouldn't sound far-fetched to other people that sounds fair. You see, but this is only a male requirement. You see, and this is the problem with the argument, right? Because there are aspects of the argument that make sense. There are aspects of the argument that are rooted in realism and logic. There are aspects of this conversation, of that argument, that are sensible, right? But the problem with the manosphere and men's rights, that those conversations get muddled in to the ridiculous shit that is also said. So when people do research, a person like this, they'll research all of these different arguments and talking points and narratives and ideologies, and the sensible things get muddled in with the absurdities. And then they emphasize the absurdities while ignoring the sensible things. Now, what if a male identifies as a female? Do they have to register? Exactly. Well, guess what? If you were in Ukraine while they were getting drafted, if you were a man who transitioned into a woman, Ukraine said, "Oh, well, guess what? You're still a man, so you got to sign up. You're going to war." Ukraine didn't care. And you were sending all this money to Ukraine. Ukraine doesn't respect people's gender identity. That's a shame on Ukraine. Ukraine, you're bad for that. We're not going to send you any more money. That's bad. If someone was a man and they transitioned into a woman, you should identify them as a woman. And that means that they shouldn't have to go fight in the army or sign up for the draft. That's bad, Ukraine. Shame on you. We're not going to give you any more money. No more money for Ukraine. We're going to give it all to Israel now. I'm getting out of there. Predecessor, MRA groups often mirror feminist arguments but employ anti-feminist and misogynistic language. While some MRAs make legitimate claims about male suicide, homelessness, and incarceration rates, these arguments are then often used to orient supporters toward viewing women as the common root cause of such problems. Moderate groups within the MRM play on the implicit bias against women to make common sense arguments that appeals to supporters. Come on, yeah. Shots fired. But not really. It's not really shots. It's more facts. They need a pal that says naughty. Are those shots or are you taking the belt out? Taking that double prime leather belt. How far does this go? Okay, this is going on for a while. Oh, this whole thing was on MRMs. Oh my God, she going in on this shit. Oh shit, what the fuck? Hold on. Okay, we gotta skip through some of this. She really going in on this part. This is her. She got a hard on for this shit. Let's look at this. Another common tactic utilized streaming questions now. It appears you don't have that ultra low latency on, do you? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. It was like this when I started, so it's normal latency. But I was also having issues when I started the stream, so I'm a little rusty. You know me, I had to ask. I know. I'm a little rusty. And when I get my bearings back, I'll fix the latency because I noticed that. I'm gonna get my bearings back though. Thank you, DJ. Another common tactic used by MRM is to mask extreme, controversial, or even violent content as satire. A voice for men. That's so manosphere of you to be just skipping through a whole. Yeah, it is, man. Oh, skip to this shit. Let's skip through this. In college, I reviewed a Susan Sontag book about photography. She implied that male photogs were too macho and hypothesized that they perceived their tail lenses as eggplant. It was absolutely bonkers. Yeah, that sounds like some nutbag feminist type shit. That's some toxic feminist type shit. That don't even make sense. Another common tactic utilized by the MRM is to mask extreme, controversial, or even violent content as satire. A Voice for Men is a for-profit organization started in 2009, led by Paul Elam. Now that name sounds very familiar. That name sounds extremely familiar. Where have I heard this from? We're going to pull you up on YouTube. Where have I heard Paul Elam before? Paul Elam. Oh. A Voice for Men. Okay. Man, Pearly look like shit. Damn, Pearl. Gotta get some fucking retinol on your skin, girl. Okay. We're gonna take a look at Paul Elam. What were they trying to take all their pics with just the right angle? Famous for his extreme anti-woman and violent language cloaked as satire, while he claims his call to designate October, currently Domestic Violence Awareness Month, bash a violent. You see, you niggas play too much. Y'all play too much, man. See, that's the problem right here with this shit, man. Y'all play too much. That's why you're getting reports written about you by the Homeland Security and NSA. You play too much. A lot of these dudes, y'all play too much. You play too much. You're stupid. Hold on. I gotta see which one I got the nice one on. You're stupid. Oh no, that's.
Oh yes, you're stupid. And you play too much. That's why they're researching your crazy ass. Because you think everything's a joke.
Everything's for play. Everything's funny. Does it sound funny to you? Being watched, being monitored, being analyzed by 3 and 4 letter agencies. Is that fun for you?
You guys are stupid. How the hell you gonna say October, which is designated for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, you gonna say bash a violent bitch month? You stupid. Let's see what DJ. Funny story. I recently changed my text message notification sound to that message dip. My wife hated it, so I. It's something crazy like that. Yeah, that's it. Elam explains that women are vessels and gatekeepers for sexual power, which is how they maintain societal domination. It's not about equality, it's about pussy. Members of the red pill community can take some pride in being the exception to the rule. Pussy is the only real empowerment women will ever know. You see, y'all niggas y'all are crazy, man. Y'all, you sound crazy saying this shit, bro. Like, you sound crazy. Like, you sound stupid repeating this shit. Like, when you repeat, it's different when you're saying it on your channel or you're saying it on the panel. But to have another person read what you're saying, to me, this sounds ridiculous. Like, you sound crazy saying this shit out loud. Like, it's just, like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, bro, what are you talking about? Pussy is the only real empowerment women will ever know. Put all that hopelessly wishful thinking of feminist ideology aside, and what remains is the fact that it is men, and pretty much men only, who draw power from accomplishment, who invent technology. Bro, what are you talking about, man? Build nations, cure disease, create empires, and generally advance civilization. Women, whether acknowledging it makes us feel warm and fuzzy or not, depend on men for all of that. And the only tool they have at their disposal to have any sort of influence on any of it is the power of pussy, and pussy is powerful indeed. Let me see. It sounded crazy then, it sounds crazy now. Let me see. Let me quote the great Compton philosopher here. Pimps, players, and hustlers. Welcome to the 1994 whole draft. From the outside, these groups look different. Okay, we're going to take a break on this one. I just want to see if I can show you some data real quick. I want to cover PUAs. and we'll end it here because PUAs. Oh my God, how long is PUAs? Lord have mercy, PUAs are pretty long. Okay. Fuck. I wish I skipped that shit and went straight to PUAs. PUAs is more. Okay, so we're gonna. Time is that we missed you. Yeah, man, it's good to be back. only the government can bring me back. Only the government can bring me back, man. Let's hammer out PUAs. Oh wow. Okay. I wonder if the citations counted towards their word count. That's interesting. This is a 69-page document. Okay, okay. I'm all right. Okay, let me read some of pickup artists. PUAs are another domain within the Manosphere that shares similar ideas of heteronormative masculinity with the MRM, but they focus more on personal coaching rather than political or legislative change. PUA websites and influencers circulate strategies and techniques that teach men to change the way they dress, talk, and act to overcome their awkwardness and ultimately seduce women. Despite the PUA's appearance as a self-help community, the advice and techniques range from deceiving, insulting, hypnotizing. That is Ross. I remember who that was. And harassing to sexually assaulting women. Where's the source for that? Roosh. Yep, there go Roosh. Roosh sexually assaulted that woman. PUA theories include pseudo-psychological concepts such as replication instinct, neuro-linguistic programming, Ross Jeffries, NLP, meant to manipulate women's biology for the purpose of sexual conquest. Let me see what her source is for that. Steve Allman, Confessions of a Playboy. Yep. To be successful, they argue men must change, lie, or hide their looks, strength, charisma, money, job, and political power, among the other things, for the purpose of gaining greater value. Simultaneously, a PUA must lower the value of his target, which is called a neg, women by doing and saying things that make her see herself as being less valuable. The PUA community has many influencers who utilize their platforms to promote their ideologies and self-help products. Roosh V is a prominent influencer, self-proclaimed neo-masculinist, founder of the group Return of Kings, and is one of the more are they still in business? I don't even think they're still in business. Return of Kings. I don't even think they're still in business. Is the Return of Kings still in business? Return of Kings is no. That's the music group. So this is outdated information. Yeah, this is outdated information because the Return of Kings is way old. That's like early 2000s type shit. And is one of the more extreme voices in the movement who has crossed over to alt-right groups as well. He published a series of controversial travel books he later claimed were satire, which detailed many non-consensual sexual encounters with women. Wow. He also called for his followers to organize a fat shaming which targeted other internet influencers and journalists. On his blog, he advocates for the legalization of... Okay, we getting on it. All right, y'all niggas is crazy. We're gonna put a pin in that one real quick. We're gonna put a pin in that. POAs, yeah. The POA stuff gets a little crazy when you read it. What I want to do, and I'll close out here, I want to cover this Paul Elam guy. I never heard of him before. I don't know who he is. He's up here with Pearly Things. I want to hear what he has to say. Pearly Things looks crazy. Yeah, I don't know what's. God bless Pearly Things. Pearly needs to stay out the sun. Pearly, stay out the sun. Get some moisturizing on the skin. Come on.
What up, guys?
Woo!
Welcome to the.
Lord have mercy. Pearly baby. Woo! And you said, woo! Woof. And I never really paid too much attention to Pearly, but god damn, Pearly. Ooh, girl, you need some. Ooh, put some Vaseline on them things, man. I just want to hear what this Paul Elam guy has to say.
Just Pearly Things YouTube channel, and welcome to the Sid.
Happen on a much larger scale. And I just sort of took my observations about men and women life.
Not all women are like that.
Now, I could have swore I just read to you guys a keyword that these people researched that is used, and she just repeated it.
What do you think when the women say not all women are like that?
Enough women are like that.
What % of women do you think are like that?
They have the data for a reason because it's actually real.
It's a wild guess, but I'm going to go with well, let's define that.
We'll leave. Okay. Smart guy. I see what you did. So, okay. So basically, like, either Trampy will leave you if you stop working or like can't work for a couple months, and will divorce you, take your shit, and try to control you for a lifetime.
I'd say north of 60%.
Okay. I was going to say 80.
Well, that's significantly north of 60%, but I don't have any problem with that number. And he's just worthless at work, loses his job. Even a woman that might not appear too materialistic is going to get tired of that guy.
All right. Anyway, I'm bored. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm bored. I don't want to hear more of that. That's not what I started the stream for. Let's go into that. The tractor part of the Manosphere. I'm not here for that. I just wanted to hear what the guy had to say, and I didn't. In 30 seconds, I didn't heard enough. So we good. Yeah. So that's that. How Homeland Security diverse views from the Manosphere. I showed you the college that won the competition. I showed you that it's in full effect right now. It's a process. It's a tool that's being used on Twitter right now. I showed you that tool is also being used from the person who used it on Facebook, on YouTube. It is being used on all social media platforms in a various of different ways as it pertains to how the platform operates. And I even started to go over to the research papers and show you the research papers. Listen, this is not conjecture. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is real. This is actually happening. Government agencies are invested in researching and gathering data on these online communities. To what end goal and extent, I still don't know. I think I have an idea, and I'm not gonna say that out loud. That sounds a little crazy. Okay? But I have more to cover for this. I have more of this thesis to cover. I'll probably hit this topic 2 more times, and I'll probably move on after that, unless more information comes out. For me personally, I wouldn't be a part of a space where Department of Homeland Security was invested in it. This whole people just seems like a whole and at the end of the day, Sharky, you're right. You know, it's a fucking waste. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's pointless. It's a waste of fucking taxpayer dollars, and it's going nowhere. Well, it's probably going somewhere, but it's still a waste of money. Like, this whole paper seems to be such a waste of money. If Reddit incels are such a big problem, either pressure Reddit to police threats better or have the FBI monitor the worst offenders. Do something other than what they're doing now, which is just using it as a honeypot. Like I said in my stream, they don't have to remove anybody. They'll just simply use the platforms and their existence in order to track, monitor, and gather data, and to surveil and eventually censor people. That's it. It's all about the data for them and who they can track and monitor. That's all that matters to them. Who can we track? Who can we monitor? Who can we surveil? So, anyway, man. No, we're not gonna do that. It's been a while since I streamed. So if I'm on stream, I can't. Hold on. I can't. No. Where's my shit at? I can't do that. We gotta find it. Hold on, y'all. I gotta find it, man. Okay. There we go. Oh, yes, there we go. I had to stretch it out after a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, we wrapping it up here. Like I said before, I will hit this topic 2 more times and I will eventually move on from this. There isn't much else to say after I cover the research paper and the data and the reports. And I don't have a vested interest in the demise of the Manosphere or its proliferation. I just cover the information. Shout out to PG in the building. What's going on? Shout out. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in and tuning out. I appreciate you guys for always pulling up, even I haven't been streaming for a long time. I thank you greatly. But yeah, man, it's time for me to go. I'm going to cover the I'm going to cover the rest of this thesis paper. If something else new comes out in the meantime, in between that, I will cover that as well. But if nothing else comes out by the time I finish going over the thesis and the data from that, I will be moving on from this topic. I'm not here to be a detractor of the Manosphere or to point out all the problems with the ideology, because I quite simply don't care. I'm not trying to be part of the problem. I would like to be part of the solution. I'm only talking about this to share the information because I don't like tax dollars being wasted on shit like this. Watching incels, monitoring, following people, worrying about PUA artists who haven't been popular since they had their criminal activity. People who have a slight against men and the feminists. I don't want to be bothered with all that shit. I just cover the data, the points, the reports, and I just leave it at that, man. But until next time, man, yeah, thank you, goodbye, and good night. I catch y'all in the next one.
I'm a big YouTuber. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero. Money work. Se arregla con dinero. Money work. Si me quiero educar, dormir en algún lugar, un lugar para trabajar, y si no hay para emigrar. Todo money, money, todo el dinero. Solo un par de gente se lleva el putín entero. Funny, funny, pasa verdadero. Si tienen lo verde siempre llegará primero. Pero llegaremos antes o después. Solo a lo suyo, que Dios te la ve. Que por más que tarde lo veré caer. Somos más lo bueno y tenemos fe. El dinero ya lo veré. No vendo mi alma, lo lograré. Seré el más grande, no olvidaré de dónde vengo ni cómo voy. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero. Money work. Se arregla con dinero. Money work. Yo digo las cosas como son. No quiero ninguna aceptación. Tampoco vengo a pedir perdón porque mis sentimientos se volvieron la canción. Yeah. No me vale mucho como tú me ves. Sabes, tú me llegas solo a los pies. Para mí ser grande es un interés. Ser un buen humano para mí es un deber. El dinero ya lo veré. No vendo mi alma, lo lograré. Seré el más grande, no olvidaré de dónde vengo ni cómo voy. Money work. Yeah. El mundo quiere dinero. Yeah. arregla con dinero. Money work. De corazón. La plata no te hace ser feliz. Yeah, de corazón. De corazón. La plata no te hace ser feliz. Money work. El mundo quiere dinero. Yeah, 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 yeah. Money work. Se arregla con dinero. Money work. Lunático.